everybody, and welcome to Creating Wealth with Purpose platform. We're excited to have another time to share with you today. And I'm very happy to have a special guest who is in the person of Winnie Kotin. And she's a technology consultant, entrepreneur, and career coach. Today, our topic is quite reflective. There's a lot of talk about everybody being an entrepreneur, but can we all be entrepreneurs? We have to ask, is there a way we can be successful in other endeavors? Can you be successful in your career? So before we continue, please make sure you click like, subscribe, and please share this very good content and join us as we have this discussion.
Thank you, Dr. Rita, for having me on your platform. I'm very excited and looking forward to a great conversation.
Yes. So can you tell us a bit about what you do? Who is a technology consultant, career coach, entrepreneur? Very nice titles. What do you do?
All right. So I'm a technology consultant. What that means is that I have knowledge and expertise in technology, and I use that to serve enterprises, businesses, and even individuals who are looking to harness the power of technology to achieve specific objectives or achieve a strategic vision. So that's what I do as an expert in technology, and my expertise range from building technology solutions to creating products and services to expand opportunities, to expand access to market, to change behavior through digitization, and to transform how work and services are rendered. That's what I do as a technology consultant, and I have businesses in that regard. And I also provide career coaching, especially for people who are looking to pursue careers in tech or move from one aspect of their career to another, taking advantage of the broad expertise and knowledge I have and the opportunities that exist in tech as technology becomes an everyday service we all use and essential to our well-being and our living.
Okay.
And our prosperity.
Awesome. So is everybody cut out to be an entrepreneur? Can you speak to that?
I'll say broadly, yes, and also no, because entrepreneurship actually takes a lot to be successful at, and most of the time we are not taught about entrepreneurship. For most people who have had regular professional lives, right from childhood to tertiary education, there's no place where people get to actually practice entrepreneurship. And entrepreneurship centers around the ability to create value and capture value from the value you create. Okay, and that is a very different type of activity compared to delivering your professional expertise and then receiving compensations from that. So the two are very different. So it takes a different type of expertise, skills, and personality and interest and passion to pursue entrepreneurship, which is quite different from being a regular professional.
Let's say you find out that you can't be an entrepreneur, you want to be in a career. How do you become successful in your career? You love what you do. And we need everybody cannot go off and start a business. Even if you start a business, you need people to work. So there are people who love what they do. They want to be whether in the banking sector, health, all these sectors, and they're happy to be there for 20, 30 years. But how do we become successful in our career? Are there any tips on how to do that so we don't get frustrated along the line?
That's a very great question. And it also falls back. It's directly tied to what entrepreneurship is. So like I mentioned, entrepreneurship is about creating value and capturing value from the value you create. So what it means is that you have services, you have products that you sell to the market pays for those services and products. But professionals work on those services and products. So the value creation and value capturing process is carried out by a variety of expertise, and the expertise are rendered by professionals. So we can have lawyers who work in an institution such as a bank, you have tellers, you have accountants, you have salespeople, you have marketing people, you have technology experts, you have a broad range of expertise working within an organization. And one of the things I like to say, the first and foremost thing for anyone to be successful as a professional is to understand the purpose for the organization. What is the purpose of the organization? The purpose of every organization or institution is set up to achieve a specific objective, either to make money, if it's a business, or if it's an NGO, to achieve a specific impact or change a particular cause or situation in the society, or if it is government sector, public sector, to achieve some specific government requirements. Once you understand the purpose for the organization and the reason why you have been engaged or employed to work in the organization, it is one step. In fact, I think 50% of your success is already achieved, because then you can deliver your expertise aligned to the objectives and the vision and the purpose for which the organization exists. Then you become a valuable member of the organization or the company.
Okay. So we've talked of understanding the vision. Now you think you do, you get into the workplace and you see that you want to move up, you want to grow in your workplace. What are some of the things you can do to be able to, not just position-wise, but you don't just want to do the same thing over the years. You want to be able to contribute more. How do you go about that?
Navigating the ropes. One of the ways I've seen a lot of people do this is to exceptionally perform on the given role. Okay, so if you are engaged for something specific, you can't be expecting to move away from that if you are not already excelling in that particular objective they've set for you. So every organization usually has a set of performance metrics, KPIs, or definitions of what performance looks like for the specific role you've been given. If you happen to work in an organization or an institution where you are unclear about how good performance looks like, you should definitely engage your boss. You should definitely engage your supervisor and be sure to clearly define that and have alignment on what is expected of you. During my work life, I've been working for over almost 20 years now. And during my work life, I've had situations where I have gone to my boss with my specific KPIs and tried to align with my boss on what is required of me for a specific year. Because sometimes a lot of things happen, a lot of requirements keep coming up, and your boss or your unit head or department head may not have had time to clearly define the job description, the specific targets and expected behavior in terms of performance results for everyone within his or her team. So assuming you are a head and you have 30 people reporting under you, if you haven't created structures to ensure that everyone is aligned on expectations of what performance look like, then there's a lot of confusion. And then eventually when it's time for promotion or an opportunity comes up, it's a bit difficult to say, oh, this person is a good performer, so let us recommend the person or promote the person, because you had nothing to measure against. And if you happen to be the employee who has recognized that there's nothing set for you to be measured again in terms of your contributions, then you have to make sure you define that and align on that with everyone, so that you can ensure that you don't get disappointments when opportunities come up.
So that's very interesting. So how do you deal with a difficult boss? We all don't choose the bosses we have. You love your job, but all of a sudden you have a very difficult boss who can sometimes make you want to quit the job.
Yeah, I think generally in life, people have different personality types, and life happens to people in different ways. So sometimes you find that you're working for a boss who may be going through challenges personally, or maybe there's a personality conflict because the two of you are different and all of that. One of the things I have found to be very helpful for me in my professional career journey, to the glory of God, is that I've always known my place in the society, in the organization, and in relation to my boss. Okay, the reason why every employee exists is to satisfy their boss. It is not the reverse. Your reason for being in an organization is never about you. It is to satisfy your boss, and your boss's reason for being in the organization is to satisfy her boss or his boss. Eventually, the organization exists to satisfy their boss. And who's their boss? Customers and shareholders. Okay, so everyone always has someone they must satisfy. So as the company, assuming we are in the business of producing, let's say, wonderful internet services so that we can have a meeting like this, the day the internet service is not working well, we displease the customer. The customer is not happy with us. And it translates and cascades all the way down to the last employee. So knowing your place within an organization, for me, is the most important way of dealing with a boss, whether they are difficult or pleasant or not. I always say that when your boss, you are having differences with your boss, it's because you generally are not able to align on what the boss desires from you. Okay, sometimes you are with a boss who expects adaptability. So if the boss and the requirements for work changes several times within a period, the boss is looking for a highly adaptive person. Sometimes you're with a boss who is looking for a very resourceful person who is able to think out of the box and not be stuck and say, I wasn't employed for this. This is not what I was brought here for. Okay. As an organization or as a business, the business goes through a lot of changes and the business is always adapting. So, for instance, COVID happened and we saw businesses and even governments had to adapt and change. But this is very typical. And because I actually am also an entrepreneur, I can really relate with this. A lot of the times, the conflicts come in when expectations keep changing, and it causes a lot of friction. So we need to be able to be adaptable. One, we need to remember our role. Our role is to please our boss. That is the only reason why you have your job, to make sure your boss is happy and your boss looks good. Your boss's job is to make sure his or her boss is happy and looks good. It goes all the way to the customer level so that the customer parts with money and then gives it to the organization. So that's just how the chain of activities work. And then we also need to remember our personality differences. We need to also remember that there are a lot of dynamics in the personal lives of people which would affect their emotions, which would affect their demeanor, which would affect how they are acting or behaving at specific times. And if we are kind to each other, whenever we see that someone is particularly not in a very good place, we should know that at that moment, what they require is compliance. Okay, this is not a time to be challenging your boss or acting out. If you feel the situation is so difficult, you are not able to handle, fortunately, there's always a human resources department you can speak with. And then that can be ironed out, or you can wait the day you see your boss is in a better mood. You can align expectations with them so that the frictions and the conflicts are reduced. And I think that has been very, very helpful to a lot of professionals. So that's the advice I'd give on that.
Okay, excellent. So I'll wrap up with something you once said, and maybe you can expand on it. I mentioned that people want to go to become entrepreneurs because they say they don't want a boss, they don't want someone to control their time. And you told me that, entrepreneurs have a boss, and the boss is the customer. So can you speak a bit to that?
Very much so. So everyone always has a boss. Who is the boss? The boss is the one who gives you the money. It's as simple as that. So entrepreneurs have a boss, and the boss is the customer who gives you the money. So if you want money from the customer, it means that you need to be able to comply to the requirements of the customer. So for instance, if we talk about flexibility in time, assuming you are working for a customer or you are working in a business and the peak time of the business is around a specific season, for instance, Christmas, okay, you may really want to take some time back with your family, relax, reflect on the year, plan a new year. But if your business is in the time you make most of your money is around a festive season, it means naturally you are not going to have that, because when you do that, you're going to lose out on the income you have received. And that tells us something, that even though entrepreneurship may seem like a more glamorous approach compared to professional life, it also comes with its own specific peculiarities, which may be challenging for you. So you need to be able to reflect and realize that if you are not a highly adaptive person and you also don't have self-leadership, particularly, entrepreneurship may not be the place for you. And self-leadership is one of the reasons for which you would be successful as an employee, because then you are able to proactively ensure you are delivering value aligned to expectations and even going above and beyond what is expected of you. And these characteristics or attributes are very strongly required when you become an entrepreneur. So for me, if you can't be a good employee, you also just cannot be a good entrepreneur. They go hand in hand.
Lovely, lovely. So to wrap up, as a career coach, what advice would you give to someone who wants to change their career path? They were trained in this, or they've been working in this sector. Sometimes we don't always get a job in what we were trained in. And at a certain point, you feel you want to change your career. What are some of the things you should look out for, and how do you prepare for that to move into another career, a different career from the one you have been in?
Okay. This is a normal occurrence for most people. Sometimes you are no more happy with what you do. Waking up to go to work becomes even more difficult. So you need a change. Sometimes you realize that the career choices you made are quite difficult for you. You are not thriving or excelling in them, so you want to make a change. Whenever that happens, what you need to do is to do some introspection or speak to a coach and recognize and establish why you want to change and where you are likely to thrive in, because you don't want to make a change, burn some bridges and go to a new place and then struggle again, okay, or start to struggle, okay. And then sometimes too, what it takes to change the career path may be something you don't have. So for instance, assuming today I decide that I really, really love medicine and I want to go and become a doctor. What it takes to be a doctor at this particular time, at my age, the fact that I have a family, I have so many requirements, am I able to dedicate that level of time to learn to become a doctor several years? Do I have the financial means to do that? Do I even know that if I go into medical field today, I need to start at the base? Whereas in the current place I am, I may be at the top senior level. Am I able to absorb all of that? Because mind you, usually when you change, you may not particularly go to the top or a commensurate role in terms of grade as where you were. So you need to be considerate of all of these things. But for me, the most important thing is to do what you thrive in. Naturally, we all have gifts and abilities. We've been blessed by God with different gifts and abilities. So whatever you are looking to change into, it should be aligned to what your natural strengths and gifts are. It should also be aligned to what you are passionate and able to thrive in. So you don't go and try and choose a course or a new career path, which is inherently difficult for you. So for instance, if you are not a numbers person, okay, and you are admiring a role which has a lot of application of mathematics or requirements of abstract mathematics, it means that when you go there, you may not really do well over there. Whereas maybe, or you are not naturally extroverted and you have a lot of difficulty engaging with people, communicating with people, and convincing people. If you decide to move away from a role which has less social engagements and social interactions to, let's say, sales and marketing, which may require a lot of speaking, engaging with people, convincing them, selling to them, and getting them to buy into a service you're trying to sell, it would be a Herculean task for you. And there's really no reason for you to do things which are inherently difficult for you. So I would say first, check your natural capabilities, check what is required to thrive over there, check what you need to learn to get started, and whether or not you are ready to start from the base and learn and work your way up. Naturally, people were purposely created for work. Everyone who would be honest would admit that they are not, when they are not working, they are not happy. And we thrive by the ability to work and produce results. So you see that even as kids, we would be playing, putting toys together, building things, because as human beings, we have a lot of energy and we desire to have purpose. And it is expressed, work is one of the greatest opportunities for us to express this need and to satisfy that need. Besides earning an income to take care of yourself and your responsibilities. So it's very key the way your perception and the way you view the opportunity of work, whether as an employee or as an entrepreneur. It is an opportunity you should ensure you handle well, you take charge of it whenever the opportunity comes to you, and diligently perform so that you can receive the results of a good job done. So you can reach out to me on winifred.kotin@gmail.com, winifred.kotin@gmail.com as well. So I'm also available on LinkedIn as Winifred Kotin, and I think that is a lot easier.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for your time and for the tips, and we wish you all the best in your work. Okay.
Thank you so much for having me, and wishing everybody all the best in their professional lives.